In this week's parasha, Parashat Vayechi, we have the Beracha of Yaakov to his grandkids, Yaakov to Efraim and Menashe, the Beracha that we say every Friday night to our sons, Yesimech Elohim ke Efraim v'chi Menashe. And we've asked in the past this question, why is that the Beracha that we've chosen to bless our kids with every single night? The Beracha of Yaakov to his grandkids, why Efraim and Menashe? Why not Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? And in the past, we've given 4 different answers to this question. You can PM me for the previous Divrei Torah. I want to give a new idea. I thought this was a beautiful, very meaningful idea that I heard from our very own Israel Xpiz Yonatan Siv. He was quoting a podcast from Yidi Klein. Big chidush. I think beautiful, loving idea behind why do we bless our kids with Yaakov's Beracha. Okay, so first off, what's it all about? We're going to approach it from the angle that Yaakov was the grandfather of Efraim and Menashe, not even the father. So this is the bracha that a father blesses his sons, a mother blesses her sons, but it's the bracha that Yaakov did to his grandkids. So the question is why? Why are we using the grandparents' bracha when we bless our kids? In our parasha alone, the whole Torah is filled with examples of fathers blessing their kids. In our parasha, Yaakov is going to bless his sons. Now, even though some of the brachot are going to be a little bit more of musar when it comes to Reuven, Shimon, Levi, when we get to Yehuda, Yosef, we have beautiful brachot. So why don't we just take one of the brachot in the whole Torah of a father to his son? Why did we pick specifically the bracha of a grandparent to a grandchild, of Yaakov to Efraim and Menashe? Okay, so says Yonatan, unbelievable stuff. He says, when it comes to parents and children, parents are always the most worried about their kids. More than anybody else in the world, it's their job to raise them, to give them chinuch, to make sure that they're physically healthy, spiritually healthy, materially they're going to make it in life, that they're mentions, that they have good midot. A parent is always worried and always stressed about his kid. But at times, that can also lead to a lot of tension. We know that children are also very rebellious against their parents at times. And therefore, a relationship between a parent and a child is not always necessarily the smoothest. But in general, when it comes to grandparents, it's like a lot more easygoing. It's a lot more smooth. It's a little bit more of like a simple, like a little bit of a pure love. Grandparents always find it easier to vent to their grandparents about their parents. And a lot of times, when parents will vent to the grandparents about their kids, the grandparents will joke at them and laugh at them and mock them and say, you used to do the exact same thing to me. Midah keneged midah. I'm on vacation now from raising kids. I already raised you. You're old enough. Now it's time for me just to sit with my grandkids, shower them, spoil them with gifts, and especially if the grandparent lives far away and comes to visit, the amount of gifts they're going to bring, and it's just the tension that in general speaking, and stereotypically, the tension that a parent has with a child is not so much there when it comes to a grandparent, and you feel a lot more the pure love of a grandparent for a grandchild. This concept of just like, I'm here for you and I love you and you're my future and you're the continuation and I'm just here to give and shower you with bracha as much as possible. And that's our parasha. When Yosef hears that his father is sick, his father is old, he doesn't just go by himself. He runs with his grandkids. He wants his grandkids to also. He wants his children to get a bracha from their grandfather, from Yaakov, because that's going to be a very special bracha from them, because the love of a grandparent is not ending. And therefore, it becomes a model for our blessings for our kids. So in a sense, every Friday night, a parent is borrowing the grandparent's bracha when he blesses his kid. Because when the mother or father takes the son in front of them and says, listen, I love you just the way your grandparents do. I know we might have some tensions, we might be fighting sometimes, and we might be annoying to each other, but ultimately, that pure love, all of this tension is from my worry for you because I love you so much. But that pure love is deep down inside with me as well. So I'm now going to borrow the grandparents' beracha, Yaakov's beracha to Efraim and Menashe, and I'm going to give that beracha to you. Okay. Comes along this podcast, comes along Yonatan as well, and they take this idea of a love behind the beracha even further, because it seems to be that the more love that's behind the beracha, according to Chazal, the more likely the beracha is going to actually work, and it's going to take hold, and Hashem is going to answer it. The more real the beracha, the more comes from inside, the more it's filled with ahava, that's the greater the beracha is going to be. And the Sefarno mentioned, has an interesting Sefarno back in Parshat Vayechi. When Lavan started chasing over Yaakov tried to run away with his family. Lavan catches up, yells at him, finds his trafim, tries to find his trafim. There's a whole story over there with Lavan and Yaakov and his kids. And then once Lavan finally, he makes peace with Yaakov, they make some kind of treaty with each other. And then the next morning, Lavan is ready to go back home. So the pasuk says, "Vayashkem Lavan baboker," and Lavan wakes up in the morning. Vayinashek lebanav v'yinotav, and he kisses his sons and his daughters. Now, interesting, who are the banav over here? So a lot of commentaries learn he's talking about his grandkids, because his regular sons were always with him. Now it's his daughters and his grandkids. So he gives a kiss to his daughters, his grandkids. Vayrech eten, and he blesses them. Vayelech vayashov Lavan imkomo, and he goes back home. So the Sefarno is bothered. He's like, why is it important for us to know that Lavan blessed his kids, his daughters, his sons. We're saying his grandkids. Like, what are we learning from this? Lavan normally in rabbinic literature is a big rasha. Like, why do we care about his beracha? So he says maybe you're going to say, because you should realize that everybody's beracha is very important. We learned back by Sarah Imenu when those three angels came to her, but she thought they were just some random laymen, some random Arabs that just come looking for food and were wandering through. When they blessed her, she's going to have a child. She laughed. So Hashem complains, why is she laughing? Even a beracha, of a hediot, of a simple layman should be a very big deal. So says the Sforno, Vayechi etem, when Lavan blessed them, Kvar Amru, the rabbis already taught us, Al tiye birkat hediot kala be'einecha, that a bracha of a simple layperson shouldn't be simple in your eyes, that it also carries merit. So just alone, Lavan giving a bracha, even if he's a layperson, that should be good enough, even though in Chazal he's more of a rasha. Okay, side question. But he says, but that can't be why. It can't be just to tell you that brachot are important, because we already learned that idea. Omnam, says the Sefarno, you know why the Torah is going out of its way to tell us about Lavan's beracha to his kids? Siper berkat Lavan libnotav leorot sheberkat ha'av asheri al banav bechol nafsho. Why? To teach us that when a father blesses his kids with all of his nefesh, bli safek ra'ui shetachul yoter biskulat tzelem Elohim havarech. He says, without a question, it's clear, beyond a doubt, it's more likely this bracha is going to take hold, that it's going to work. Why? Because he's bringing it from within himself, from his soul, from his neshama. The more you go inside to your inner self, and you want to give from your inner self to the person, and we're learning here that Lavan really loved his kids. As much as we're negative against Lavan, according to Lavan loved his children, he loved his grandchildren. This was a bracha that came from deep within. And a bracha that came from deep within is a lot more likely to actually work. And then the source is, similar to Yitzchak, that Yitzchak, before he dies, wants to bless his kids because again, it's going to be a grandparent, a pure love, beracha, to a father to his kids before he dies, is pure love to his children, and it emanates from very, very deep. Okay. One more proof to this we find in the Pele Yoetz. The Pele Yoetz also writes by the bracha of a mother and a father that it's a lot more likely to come to fruition because the parent, and we say grandparents, but even parents, always have your best interest in mind. They truly want you to succeed, so therefore their beracha is real. Seek them out, go search for them. People spend so much money trying to seek out these big rebbes for a beracha, and I'm not saying don't go to the rebbes, they're holy people, see these tzaddikim, but we're saying over here that if you go to your parents, if you go to your grandparents, where they have real love and they love you so much, the bracha emanates from within deep, the bracha becomes so much more real, and it's so much more likely for it to actually come to fruition. So says the Pele Yoetz, this is in his section on berachot. So he says, Yesh le'adam lit'ametz v'ishtadel. A person should put a lot of effort in to really try to go out lekabel birkat aviv ve'imo, to go out of his way to get the bracha from his father, from his parents. Va'afilu imeino somech al shulchanam, even if he's verchokai yeshivato behem, even if he's not living in their house anymore and he lives far away from them, you have to actually go down the block, walk a little bit to get to them. Lo yitrashel mi'alech b'kol leil Shabbat ve'yomo b'chagim. He says he should not be lazy to go to their house on Friday night, to make the extra detour, to walk over on Shabbat, on Shabbat night, on Shabbat day, and on the Chagim, lenashek yedehem, to kiss their hands, ulekabel birkatam, and in order to get their beracha. Now here he goes on to say that, because you should know it's a really big beracha, it's a beracha of kibud avayim, you're getting a mitzvah min Torah, but even before that he puts a side point out there. And I think the side point, I don't know if for our Dvar Torah is even greater than the main point. His main point is because you can get a bracha min Torah kibud avayim, but his side point says shemilvad shabracha ikrovalit kayem al shemevarchim oto milev uminefesh belev shalem kevachem ab al banim. He says, and besides for the fact that their beracha is kirova lehit kayem, it is so close, only one step away from coming to fruition. Meaning you want a bracha, that what are the likelihood that it's going to come true? Go to your parents. Go to your grandparents. Go to those who love them. Why? Al shehem mevarchim oto milev uminefesh belev shalem, because they're blessing him from his heart, from their nefesh, from their soul. Belev shalem, with a full heart. Kerachem ab al banim, like a father who has mercy on his children. Go to your parents. Go to your mothers. Go to your fathers. Go to your grandparents. Get a beracha, and that's why we're doing every single Friday night. We're taking this beracha that Yaakov had to his grandchildren, and we're saying to our children, we love you with all of our heart. Be'ezrat Hashem, may this beracha come true. Shabbat shalom.